If you remember last month, I put a video up talking about the great Wargames figure count, and I'm pleased to tell you it is complete. If you've not already seen the blog post I did earlier in the week, the numbers are in, the figures have been counted, and I can do a grand reveal at the end of this video of the number of painted, and that's painted figures. Some people on Tinterwebnet have been going, oh well, does that include the unpainted? No, it doesn't. No, the unpainted figures is a different number. This is painted. So I'm going to just run through each of the collections that I own with a photograph of them, and then I'll just say how many I've got for each collection and talk a little bit about the history of that collection, and at the end I'll reveal the total number. You can of course count them up as you go along, or you could even just go on the blog and look at the number yourself, but that wouldn't be much fun, would it? So the first or this tray that we're looking at here, I just got this out. This is the top tray in the first cabinet of my display cabinet, and these are 15mm British Cavalry for the Peninsula. Of course, there's the Scots Greys in there as well, and just happened to be the first tray that I counted. So these guys are on the list, and we'll see at the end how many we've got. So the first collection, English Civil War 28mm, 581 figures in this collection, and all of them are on the Royalist side, because that is my chosen cause in this particular fight. It's one of the first, in fact probably the first 28mm army that I started building up, and it's probably 10 to 15 years old now. Collection number 2 is American War of Independence, 28mm, and we have 443 figures in this collection. All of them are British. There's another chap who hasn't been up to Yorkshire Gamer for a while, but we have his collection stored here for when he comes back. So the rule set that we use for these is a set called British Grenadier, and very good they are too. Leads me on to collection 3, World War One. This is for Mesopotamia, Gallipoli as well. We've played with this set. It all came from some history research I was doing on a family, and found I had a family member who fought in this conflict and is buried in Baghdad Cemetery. 932 figures, and the rules that we use for these are if the Lord spares us by 2 fat lardies. So next collection is a mix of 146 28mm sci-fi and TV, covering things like the Blake 7 above, that are using the 7 TV rules, the 70s TV cops and robbers stuff that I've got using Geezer's Shut It rules, and also some Empire of the Dead Victorian steampunk. Going on neatly to the 28mm Crusader collection. This has 356 28mm figures so far. Been a bit of a troubled child this, and I've stopped and started on many occasions. We're currently using a set of rules called Deus Vult, which we've made a few alterations to because it's got a very strange melee system. But we're progressing with it and building the collection up slowly. Next collection was a bit of a surprise when I found it. I'd forgotten all about these. There are 84 28mm Lord of the Rings figures for the War of the Ring rule set, sort of a fancy mass battle game. All of them are Riders of Rohan. My plan is to do the charge at Pelennor Fields in 33-1, which means I'm about halfway through this collection if I remember to paint any more. Next up, Spanish Civil War, one of the favourite gaming collections here. We really enjoy fighting Spanish Civil War. 474 28mm figures, mostly Empress, but there's a couple of other surprises. And we use a homebrew set of rules that are based very roughly on Disposable Heroes, which is an American set of rules. Favourite here at Yorkshire Gamer. Now this lot is the famous skirmish game that got out of hand. World War II 28mm Desert, 581 28mm figures, and we use the same homebrew set of rules with a few modifications that I spoke about with the Spanish Civil War. So based on Disposable Heroes, but with a few changes for desert warfare. Another big favourite here, and we're just in the middle of a 1941 campaign using these figures. Next collection is the 28mm Italian Wars, probably the most famous in inverted commas of my collections, and there are 572 28mm figures in this army, and still building. Quite a few more that I want to put in this collection, and we use a set of rules called Furioso, and there's a few videos on the YouTubes in relation to those. Next up, another problem child in the Yorkshire Gamer collection, the 28mm Ancients. We've got 418 28mm Ancients. In and out of this collection for 20-30 years, and I've struggled with the rule set. And I've got a set at the moment called Mortem Iglorium that look really, really good, and I'm just waiting for lockdown to end so we can get some proper games in with them. The final 28mm figure collection, in inverted commas, are these 28mm American footballers. 59 figures in this collection, something we haven't played for a long time. There's a set of rules called Gridiron Heroes. I think we're doing my tabletop games, and they were possibly the slowest set of rules ever. I remember it took us 3 evenings to do about 2 quarters. So they've sat unplayed with in a box for a long time. Moving on from 28mm to the 120mm collection that I have, and these are 20mm Vietnam, 398 figures. Bit of a mess on the basing of these. I was playing around and changing stuff and then gave up halfway through. No set of rules at the moment. We've tried Charlie Don't Surf by Two Fat Lardies and didn't get too far with it. So these are sat not doing very much at the moment. The original, my first collection, 15mm Napoleonics, 5,963 of these. Currently using a house rule changed version of General de Brigade with some national characteristics, very similar to the old Quarry rule system. Always one of my favourites, always my biggest collection. This is the one that surprised me. 7 Years War, 15mm, 2,302 figures, and I can't remember painting that many of them, but it's a really nice collection. We use a set of rules called Die Kriegskunst, which is a 7 Years War version of General de Brigade. Hasn't had a lot of support, that set of rules, but we carry on with it. It's not too bad. Then one of my favourite collections, certainly visually, my 15mm Alexander the Great Macedonians. Beautiful looking army, even if I say so myself. Zystron miniatures. I remember going up to Scotland and buying these from the factory fresh out of the casts many years ago. No fixed set of rules on these yet. Fingers crossed for Mortem Iglorium as with the 28mm. The latest collection here at Yorkshire Gamer, 15mm World War II Curse, currently sitting at 352 figures, and we'll be using a changed or slightly modified version of the Disposable Heroes rules I've already spoke about for Spanish Civil War and World War II Desert. A bit of a personal project this, enjoyed it very much putting the tanks together and building the forces up. We are well into the lost collections here. 15mm English Civil War Montrose Army, 162 15mm minifigs figures, not been played with for years, not been out of the box for years, probably forgot about them. They're quite nice actually, some of the figures. We played Forlorn Hope with these as we do with the 28mm English Civil War. Whether I'll do anything with them again, I don't know. Finally, in 15mm is my War of the Roses collection. 115 painted figures. Hasn't seen the light of day. Very similar to the English Civil War. This is a late 80s, early 90s army. Not played with, not thought about, not touched for a long time. Don't think I'm going to do anything with these. If I sell anything on it, it might be these. I have to say I'm quite good with projects and getting them going. This is my one failed project, and failed so far. I might come back to it. 10mm Malburian, 276 Pendraken figures. Had a couple of rule sets in mine, Gapat and Lace Wars, and never really got further than what you can see on there. There's a couple of units that aren't based, but one day I might come back to them. Moving on to the smaller end now with 6mm. And this is 6mm ACW, 3,993 figures, all Adler, which are probably 10mm to be honest, but great big collection we use at least once a year, and we still use Johnny Reb 2. There is no greater ACW set of rules on Johnny Reb 2. Next up, the biggest collection just in terms of number, 6mm World War II, 5,970, 7 more than 15mm Napoleonics. Big collection, Western Europe 1944. We use a homebrew version based on the Road to Berlin by Bruce Reed Taylor, very old set of rules. We modified them, brought them up to date, and they work a treat. And we still play this once every couple of years. 6mm Napoleonics next, 1,175 figures, Adler miniatures, no real rule set involved. Haven't touched these for a long time. I went back and concentrated on my 15mm and didn't want the same period in two different scales. Friend down south who has a big collection, so you never know, these might get resurrected one day. Now we are big navalers here at Yarkshire Gamer, and our 3000 World War II collection is 470 ships, all painted and based, and we are a homebrew set of rules that very nearly got published many years ago, but sadly didn't. And we do a World War II or World War I naval campaign each Easter. Another one of our signature collections, World War One Naval, 1002 1 to 2400 GHQ ships. Started off with the run to the south from Jutland. Then I got bullied into doing the whole of Jutland at 1-to-1, and I've added a few more ships since then. Homebrew rules, very similar to the World War II rules. One of my favourite collections. I told you we were getting navally. Next up is Napoleonic Naval. 63 of these ships, they're all from Langton. Really nice to take absolutely ages to paint and base. And we flip and flop on rule sets. Signal close action from Rod Langton is the main one that we've used in the past. Separated these out because we do play, we use these with our World War II rules, but we also use them separately for a bit of dogfighting combat and also World War One 300 planes. 85 of these in the collection, various rule sets used over the years, but mostly as support to other collections. And the final one, you'll be glad to hear, is Star Trek. 81 Star Trek ships. They were for a Call to Arms Starfleet, which was done by Mongoose. I hate Mongoose with an absolute passion. They get you in, suck you in, you buy loads of figures, and then they ditch the line straight away. They've done it with Starship Troopers, they've done it with Bab 5, they've done it with Star Trek. Mongoose, I hate you. But these figures are brilliant, and I'm sure they'll get resurrected one day. Well, thanks for watching. If you made it through all those photographs, and there'll be some collections there that you might be very familiar with if you pop down to Yorkshire Gamer on a regular basis. And then there's some stuff that hasn't seen the light of day for years. The Riders of Rohan collection, Lord of the Rings, I had to use an airbrush to get the dust off them. They've gone into a proper sealed box, right? They were in an open box. And they haven't been out of there for, oh God knows how many years. So I had to use an airbrush to get the dust off those, so they have been cleaned. And we're at the end now, and I just thought I'd put these up because these are the last ships that I counted of the Great Wargames figure count. And I can reveal that the current number of figures in the painted collection at Yarkshire Gamer is 27,119. That is 27119. Now, there's lots of different ways of counting things. Do you count everything the same? So, I'm going to put a post up on the blog just discussing how many figures I've got and why I've got so many, and a few of the thoughts and reasons behind it. But just for this video, the counting process, some of the rules are, and obviously I've gone into 127 pages of rules and appendices about them. No, I haven't. A horse and a rider is one figure, not two, one figure. A tank with crew is one figure. So this boy here, this SU 76, it's a vehicle, two crew, counts as one. Okay. On this total here, a crew served weapon, like this one. So that would count as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 figures, weapon 6. Okay. All figures, regardless of scale, count as one. So a Langton's Miniatures Napoleonic ship that will probably take me, and I'm a fairly quick painter, a week to complete, including rigging, one figure. A 6mm Napoleonic figure that I'd probably do maybe 10 an hour, one figure. I didn't want to get into different ways of weighting it, all that sort of stuff. 27,119 figures painted. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that total on the Yorkshire Gamer blog, and just at the side where I've got all the list of stuff that I've painted over the last few years and other blogs I follow, etc. I'll put a little box up there with it on, and I'll keep it updated. I don't think, if we hadn't had a lockdown, I probably wouldn't have done this. But it's just been something to keep me sane, if you like. And I might count up my unpainted stuff, but it's not that big. Certainly not compared to that anyway. Consistently over the last 10 years, I've painted more figures than I've bought, and if you look along the side of the Yorkshire Gamer blog, you can see the exact figures. I've got a 10mm Malburian project that got a little bit out of hand in terms of numbers of figures. I won't go into the story, but it's a funny one. I might do it another video. But there's thousands of those. That's the biggest amount of stuff I've got lying around. The rest is either for an ongoing project. So at the moment, the big build is the 28mm Ancients. and then I've just got little bits and pieces for other projects lying around. I haven't got a massive amount of stuff left to paint in the house, so I might do that at another stage. Count up the unpainted figures, see how we go. But thanks very much. It's been an enjoying thing for me, very cathartic, very therapeutic, and I've enjoyed finding and looking at some figures that I haven't looked at for years. Thanks again for watching, Yorkshire Gamer. See you soon.